Republican Mike Graham because it's independent and I'm Mike Graham. But inside of that, it's all about you. It's all about the people that call into the show. It's all about what you care about because we know what ordinary people want to know.
Good afternoon. It is the last hour with you at 6:05. So I'm joined by a co-presenter. He doesn't have much to say, but he does have a snoring and flatulence problem. It is my dog, Rocco, also better known as Dog. Anything you'd like to say? Nothing so far. Anyway, but we do have a voice. We have Professor John Christopher Buer, our very own White House correspondent at Real Political News, or as we like to call him, Prof. JC. Good afternoon, Prof. JC. You can see we're getting silly here. It's like the end of term because we are delighted in this country. We'll start by the happy news at the Jubilee celebrations. Now, how is that being played or how's it being reported over the pond?
I'm beside myself with joy. The only thing is I can't see you, but we won't get into that.
Well, I've got a semi-British bulldog on my lap as a little homage to
well, as long as you can see me, I think we're okay. But I can't see you, and I love your lovely new growth of chin whiskers. I think it's very sexy.
I'm not sure. It's not going down.
Look at you.
It's not going down very well across the Rinder family, I've got to tell you. The jury is still out. But tell us, I mean, is it being reported over there?
Oh, yes. We love it. Absolutely report it. Our cable news networks got their people in it. They're out in front of Buckhouse doing their lives. Right. And I have to tell you, I am thrilled because let's think about this.
Yeah.
Her Majesty was coronated yesterday, 70 years ago.
Yeah.
And we have a paltry president. If he's lucky, he stays in for 8 years. Right. And then we forget about him. Maybe we'll bring him back for some punditry, but we don't ever hear about the guy again. And she sustained the greatest country, or the second greatest, or equal, in the world of all time. Britannia. I'm a Yank who loves Britain.
You definitely are, Prof. JC. You know, I was just reflecting on the Queen visited with 13 of the last 14 presidents. That's something to sort of think about, right? I don't think any of us can think back that far.
Well, I do. And I remember Truman, when she was just Queen, and the only one she didn't visit, although her sister had got to dance with him, her sister, Princess Margaret, was LBJ. Oh. He never met the Queen. Kennedy was with the Queen and his with the Kennedys, we feel we have our own royalty.
Yeah,
was the most royal couple we could ever find. But the Queen did in fact meet with every president except Lyndon Baines Johnson, from Truman all the way up to Joe Biden, who she saw twice.
Mm-hmm. You know, Prof. JC, obviously there are different constitutional frameworks of our great nations. And I remember, I can't remember who was talking in the debate, but it was when chat shows used to be proper chat shows and not what they are nowadays. People could get really down into the political reads of things. And I remember an American sort of slightly lamenting, it may have even been Gore Vidal, talking about how, although he wasn't pro-monarchy, the sort of idea that perhaps a president or the head of the executive branch, once every week had to go and speak to the embodiment of George Washington, let's say, and kind of explain themselves, represented in part the sort of value of having an inherited monarchy. Can you understand that?
I do understand that. And, you have questions, but the Queen doesn't have to do questions.
Right.
The Prime Minister does that. And that we find that interesting. We can't imagine, although Joe Biden's pretty good, he's straight from the shoulder, we can't imagine any president going to the House or to the Senate to have the accountability level of listening to those questions coming after the right honorable gentleman, and you let him have it. It's great stuff. We watch it. We love it. And like I said, is his name Winston, by the way? I just saw your doggy.
Oh, no. He's called Dog. He's been emasculated, so I'm not sure what gender he is. He likes to be called Rocco, though, from time to time.
He's better looking than me. Keep him on our phone.
Now, I'm afraid to take us from the joys and lights of parties and optimism into the darkness. I was looking at the news today and saw that President Biden was going after assault weapons after what can really only be described as 4 weeks of gun carnage in your country. Looking at it, do you think that's just scratching at the surface, or is it an important start? How should we look at it?
I mean, I think of it as we should have a 24-hour gun slaughter news network. I mean, it's become that, and it seems that CNN has become that in my. But the idea that Joe Biden has to go on TV and plead with Congress, with the GOP, who's, as you know, we discussed the NRA, who sponsor them, and say, haven't we had enough? Isn't this enough? And at least the assault weapons, the AR-15s, you can't, what would you do? You shoot a deer with that, it wouldn't be anything left. I mean, these are, and it's all politics. It's all because we're in an election year. It's all because they want to make Joe Biden look bad, whether it's that or any other thing. And they're not going to budge. They won't budge, but it's killing our kids. You turn around, Rob. I said to my friends, there's going to be another one in 2 days. Bingo, there was Tulsa.
In a hospital,
every other day there's one.
Yeah, and of course, not all of them get reported. I've obviously I keep track of it. You look at the streets in Chicago. The other day, I was watching American news, and there was a news reporter standing there, and a guy walked past the news reporter and pointed a gun at her head and carried on, walking brazenly as if nothing had happened. Had that happened in our country, that person would be liable, I can tell you this, for a minimum 5 years sentence for possession of the firearm, and for using it with the intent that he did, almost certainly a dangerous, certainly looking at a 7-year prison sentence. It was an extraordinary thing to watch. How do you reflect on that as you think about the body count in Chicago?
Well, there was one congressman who actually said that the Democrats accused him of not having a heart, and we don't have the freedom to have constitutional right, the Second Amendment. You know all that.
Sure.
How about the constitutional right of those 19 children to be alive today, to enjoy this beautiful summer day in Uvalde, Texas? Or in Tulsa, Oklahoma, where a man who didn't like his back surgeon, he went and killed him, and anyone else who was around, helter skelter. Shouldn't bring that song back, but that's what it is.
One of the difficulties here, and we've talked about it before, but it's worth reminding people, is that there is this critical Second Amendment, that's the right to bear firearms case, which is, some people would argue now, kind of super precedent, or certainly strong precedent in the way that Roe versus Wade was, which makes it clear that rather than it being a militia right, i.e. when the state or when America was created, there needed to be small armies who had to be armed in order to fight the British. But in fact, that the court ruled, no. If you look at the Constitution, it's about individual rights to bear arms against the states. Individuals, not a militia. Now, that is, although it was a 5-4 decision from memory, that is clear law. So how is anybody going to pass legislation banning any firearms when the court is going to declare that unconstitutional? It's not realistic, is it?
The Second Amendment is not absolute. The Heller case was about... Yeah,
just to be clear, it was home. Sorry to interrupt you, Prof. It's Heller versus, I think, the District of Columbia, correct?
It was about protecting your home. That's correct.
Right.
It wasn't about free carry, constitutional right to walk into Starbucks or into Tesco, anywhere with an AR-15 hanging from your belt. That's what they're doing. And they're using it. And the right wing is so in bed with the National Rifle Association, who represents the gun manufacturers, not the citizens of this country, but the gun manufacturers. And that's what Trump was at last week, when he was dancing and reading the names all wrong, by the way, didn't get pronunciation of one of them right. And he was dancing, and he was in bed with the NRA. It's a pathetic thought. And if Biden will make his plea, but unfortunately, because it's an election year, 80% of the American people are for gun control and some sensible gun laws. We don't have to have assault weapons. We could have background checks. We could have waiting periods. We could, you you get a license like you have in the UK. We have red flag if some guy's a lunatic. You shouldn't be giving him a gun. Sure. But with the Republicans, it's bigger and better, and they're all touting it. And the MAGA people are loving it because
there must be some, despite the case of Heller that we were just referring to, there must be some constitutional room for restrictions on firearms, because states have passed those restrictions. Now, you just talked about the politics of it, and you said 80%, and I'm wondering about that statistics. One of the horrors that happened was in Texas, the free ride state, where, gun ownership is kind of part of the cultural lived experience, sorry to use that language, of being, living in Texas. Has the atrocity, insofar as you know, had an impact on people's views about limiting access to firearms in Texas?
I think people are terrified. I think mothers are terrified to take their children to school. I think the reality, Rob, it hits you in your gut. People have talked about seeing these children who don't in Sandy Hook. Their bodies were so maimed they couldn't be recognized. There is a political representative of the NRA, and it's not in their constitution. The politics is distorted. This is what.
No, but my question is, my question is, has this tsunami of horror changed the numbers around, where people in Texas and people that were otherwise untouched by these atrocities have started to go, enough's enough, and we need tighter regulations?
Well, because it's on the news 24 hours a day. We have the gun. Basically, we're watching gun slaughter nonstop. I mean, it's nice that we have the Queen and St. Paul's and hear all that. And it's good. It's a good change of pace. I certainly love it and feel good to see that. It's a break. But by the time I'm finished, I don't know how many kids will be dead. And it's not only mass shootings. There's shootings in their homes. The kid opens the father's gun vault and shoots his little sister. We're gun crazy. This country is gun crazy.
Well, on that, I have to say, dark news, there is light in all of it. It's always interesting to hear from you, and I shall, insofar as I can, when I next see Her Majesty, pass on your thoughts and your congratulations. That is our very own Prof. JC, Professor John Christopher Beale, White House correspondent at Real Political News. And this is me, Rob Rinder, live from the Talk Radio studio, and this is Talk TV.